not, we're going to see some quality projectile play, I would say, from FNRGFE, although I have been told that Buds has been working on his Genji a little bit, so we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, well, here we are on Watch Point Gibraltar, guys. FNRGFE. Did I say that right? I think I did. On defense. FNRGFE on defense early on versus Selfless, and Winston already doing the twist with those sweet hips. And we are ready to get started. First match of the day that we're casting anyway. Yeah, I'm excited. Interesting that we see Defron here, who has been playing the Mei a little bit today. From what we've seen, and that's a Helix Rocket right off the bat. Sinatra, welcome to the match. You are already dead. Meanwhile, Selfless being pushed back. But yeah, like you mentioned, Monty, Defron on that Mei. A little bit of a surprise on offense here. Yeah, especially because it doesn't give you the best high ground control on point A with the Mei. So you're basically just trying to push it through by blizzarding the cart as you get deeper and past the car wash on this map. But Buds with 2 kills on Sinatra already. A little bit of a frustrating start for Selfless, but you know, with Mei, you really have to be landing those right clicks if you're going to be using it on point A here. Yeah, and they're trying to move the cart right now, but there's no contest for the soldier on the high ground, so Bud's getting a lot of room just to rain down death from above here, and a cart not really moving anywhere as Clockwork just keeping it in place. Oh, Mykles 3D does go down, playing a lot of that Zenyatta today, not being able to make much progress, but you know, Selfless, we've seen them have a lot of individual talent, a really significant amount, but I haven't seen that level of team play, that level of sort of cohesion that you're hoping to see from a top pro team yet. And I'm worried if they don't develop that in the near future that they're kind of going to cap out, you know? You can only get so far with individual mechanics, but see what they can do here. Right now we're going to see some more individual mechanics. Defron actually switching over to the Soldier 76, resetting his ultimate. There will be a while before he has that tack visor. Bud's coming up, and this should be a strong defense here for FNRFG. You'd think so. Soundberry used for Selfless. Not getting a whole lot of kills with it yet. Sinatra dodging around. Here's that Tracer battle we talked about. No kills, but now Buds comes in with the Nano Visor, looking for a few kills. Some of that getting absorbed. Gets a little bit of damage on the high ground. And Mykles 3D coming in with a Transcendence that may have been a bit on the late side. Yeah, everybody falling back for the moment. You know, I gotta say, watching Mykles 3D play Zenyatta today, his Transcendence timings have not been stellar. And now we have FNG, I hate their team name, the blue team coming in with their own Transcendence. They're gonna try to hold the payload a little bit more. Self-destruct not picking anything up as Kresnik gets back in the mech again. Right there, Selfless kind of zoned out for a bit. With the Nano Visor, we saw Bud seed the high ground and Defron have a very good flank up, but he was pushed back immediately by Iman coming through on the Winston. By seeding that high ground, did give a little bit more damage over to Selfless, and now they're getting the catches with the Pulse Bomb right in the corridor. Yeah, that's right, Sinatra falling it again. Looks like they might be able to, they do get point A. Okay, took a little bit of doing, still got 340 left on the clock, so Selfless, plenty of time to push through the hangar phase. Let's go back and watch the replay really quick. Sinatra throwing out the Pulse Bomb. Not getting any kills with it, but hey, it was there. Pulse Bomb's scary, that's just how it is. Fortunately for FNRGFE, they didn't have a lot of time to set up on the high ground here because of their late wipe right by the doors to the hangar here at point A. So a little bit of a retake right now, attempting to get those long-range hit scan heroes into position. All right, Sound Barrier again. Used to Selfless, trying to push that payload around that corner. If it gets stalled here, sometimes it's hard to get it going again. So you really want to do that. Defron just bull rushing his way in with Soldier 76. And it looks like they will kind of get the progress they're looking for the moment. Yeah, Iman just zoning people out. There goes Buds again. So Selfless, despite kind of a shaky start, they've really brought it together here in the second phase. And you see Hangar go pretty quick sometimes, but looking good at the moment. Well, FNRGFE never really had a chance to stabilize in the hangar because they put so many resources into that final defense on point A. Doc at the end as the hangar phase went through too. Great sound barrier to minimize the damage done by the Pulse Bomb. That allows them to power through. And ult economy's been looking pretty good for Selfless so far. Yeah. Late trance, but otherwise, we see that tack visor coming back up again in conjunction with the self-destruct. Selfless still has the tools to move through here. Yeah, that Transcendence at the end, just kind of helping secure that push. Maybe not, you know, again, the most necessary use of that ult, but, you know, they get point B. They got some time to move through to take point C, finish off their offensive round. Bud's so far uncontested up on the high ground here. They're gonna have to do something about him.
Yeah, they have a nano visor in weight as well, so they should have a long hold here on the final point of Gibraltar as long as they don't waste their ult economy too early on. They're been
nearly up to 6 right now.
Yeah, they haven't had an itchy trigger finger here, just using that high ground advantage and not over-committing.
Yeah.
As Selfless has to try and get back onto the cart right now, and with only that one support ultimate coming up with Doc, it's going to be a little bit.
Yeah, well, no. Has to get out of there. Still plenty of health to work with, though. And he can go down the payload. Monkey fight! Whoa, the pulse bomb, that's not fair. Doesn't end up getting the kill anyway. Will force a primal rage out as Selfless scattering just a little bit. FNRGFE. Able to kind of zone Selfless off the payload for the moment without having to use a whole lot else to do it. Only going down the Winston ultimate. But Selfless coming back with a big ult push themselves here, so we'll see what they can get done with it.
Yeah, it's been a mind game for both of these teams. Both of them minimally committing only one ult apiece, but here we go.
Yeah, Defran dodging around. Gotta wait for that tac visor. Might have a good opportunity coming in. Meanwhile, Bud seeing what he can do with his. Gets a couple kills. Doing very well, actually. In the end, though, it's a pretty even trade. And Defran pushed back eventually. The Winstons. Solo Winston battle on the point right now. Who's laser gun reigns supreme? The primal rage comes out for Emong. And he's going to try to just keep the respawns for FNRGFE. A little bit on the scattered side.
Clockwork cornered right now, but he does manage to escape onto the upper bridge. Does die as he falls back down. Now the respawn's coming back through for FNRGFE.
Whoa, 2 from Enigma. And that's going to be a bit of a problem for Selfless. As they try to keep this pushing.
Came back with a respawn there, still with the self-destruct available, so even though they were in a 6 versus 5 situation, able to go ahead and pick that one up. And beyond that, we did see the switch over from Sinatra, from Tracer over to Genji, and I think this is just to make sure that Buds is not going to have free reign on the high ground with that Soldier 76.
I think you're absolutely right, man. I mean, that's a good way to get up there and counteract a little bit more.
Yeah, they need more pressure on that high ground. It is so valuable to have control over that bridge. So when you have the Diva and then you can back it up there with the Genji.
Checking out that self-destruct one more time. Enigma again able to grab 2, just kind of tossing it around the corner in a way Selfless wasn't expecting.
Oh, it was either going to buy time or get those kills. So
Transcendence forced out of Mykles 3D. He was about to go down there. May still go down in the end. Tac visor coming out for FNRGFE. Meanwhile, Sinatra cutting through the doorway, taking down Bonnie. And that payload's gonna move. What can Bud do to stop this one? Enigma back, but it's dire straits for FNRGFE right now.
Nano boost really wasted there for FNRGFE. A little bit of a miscommunication, a mistiming at the end, and that gave the opportunity here to get the big Dragon Blade from Sinatra.
Yeah. Enigma popped out of the mech now. They really needed him to stay in it on the payload. Sound barrier crucial for FNRGFE. Let's see if they can utilize that to push back Selfless. Not a lot of kills coming in just yet at the moment. Sinatra bouncing around the payload, gets knocked back for a second. Buds does go down. The defenders starting to be a little bit broken up here. Now the Dragon Blade coming in for Selfless again, and they are going to finish. 8.9 seconds left in the clock, but hey, they got it done.
That was such a crucial second Dragon Blade coming up right at the end to help zone them out of the doorway from the spawn. And so Selfless coming back with a little better teamwork overall. And despite FNRGFE starting so strong on that offense, getting the initial picks onto Sinatra, they folded with a big ult advantage towards the end of point A, and they never really recovered that momentum in a satisfactory way. Love the hero changes we saw from Selfless as it went on. Sinatra moving over to that Genji right after just throwing out his pulse bomb, resetting that ult, and then coming back with some strong plays with the Dragon Blade.
Yeah, Defran having a lot more success on the Soldier 76 than he did initially on the May as well. So like you said, good adaptability from Selfless.
Yeah, they as soon as they figured out that FNRGFE was basically 100% playing for that high ground, the hero swaps and the team composition changes that they were making really enabled them to control it themselves and force them onto the low ground and open up some room for them to do the damage.
Well, here we go again. FNRGFE on the offense this time. Selfless taking up the defender's position. And so we'll see what the blue team has in mind. A lot of hero swapping probably going to go on before the match actually begins here.
Yeah. High mobility for Selfless. They do have some ways to control that high ground with the Winston and the Diva to help protect Defran there. And we'll see if FNRGFE, Buds, has been known to play some Widowmaker in the past, so he might look for some initial picks here if he thinks that Selfless is going to be playing pretty far forward. It's like a possible quick Sonic Arrow from Bonnie that should give them the information they need to decide whether or not they're going to hold on to that Widow, which they might if they see some people here in the Sonic Arrow right on top of the car wash.
You know, in the early phases of your push on Gibraltar, you can work the Widow in, and like you said, Buds certainly has history on the hero. So he does, sticking with it for the moment. Bonnie on the Hanzo, maybe just throwing out that Sonic Arrow, but sticking out for the moment. Yeah, there's the Zenyatta. I was going to say, that was about to be pretty shocking.
Yeah, still, you know, there's not a lot of great diving options here if you're Selfless to deal with this Widowmaker. You know, you don't have a Genji. Difficult for Tracer to make it to that high ground.
Oh, and there's a kill on Doc.
That's what's going to happen. There's just no pressure. He can just go after these supports.
Oh, what's up, Doc? Answer is a bullet in the dome.
Mykles3D has to be very careful on that high ground, but this strategy working out very well early on, and that's one of those things. Selfless came with a defensive composition that made it very difficult to contest that Widow.
Yeah. The payload just edging for a little bit more. Symmetra throws in the pulse bomb, but no kills from that one. Everybody able to back off, but that payload is moving now.
Sinatra should be switching over to Genji here after chucking out that pulse bomb very early on. We'll see if he's actually going to make a change. And there it is right now. So we'll be switching over to the Genji as expected. Somebody's got to deal with Buds in that back line.
Yep. Enigma so close to that pulse bomb. See if he maybe pick it up. Gonna have it soon. Might want to wait for that recall to come back, but always dangerous to get stuck in the corner with the pulse bomb. Defron does take down Clockwork though. So FNRGFE maybe a little bit stalled out here. Yeah, I think Selfless is gonna put together a pretty decent hold now. And Defron actually really close to that tactical visor. He's going to have it for the next defensive fight. So Selfless actually in a pretty decent spot right now to maybe hold this for a little while.
Yeah, they are in a much better position. I will say I'm surprised Selfless after the way that last map ended. That is Clockwork again, too far forward, two crucial deaths apart from his team, and they need to be very careful about that. Defron was playing a little bit more forward than you would expect, especially they should know he has tac visor, and they may expect him to be playing towards the back end of the point instead. A little bit of a surprise there.
Yeah, on board with Buds now. Pops that ultimate. Got a decent view. Ooh, has to watch out for that reflect. That is a little bit scary. All right, payload's starting to move a little bit now as FNRGFE tries to take point A. They've been a little bit stalled out. Buds doing the damage he can on the Widowmaker. The angle's not quite as good at this particular point on the map. Emon jumping down with the defensive Winston. Has that Primal Rage in case he needs to use it. Be good for keeping people off. Transcendence used for Selfless. Well, big ultimate. Both sound barriers coming out. And who's going to come out on top? Buds goes down early to Sinatra. An answering kill comes out for Enigma, though, for FNRGFE. Right now, Selfless all over the payload, and it just doesn't seem like FNRGFE is able to get any sort of purchase on the pushing power. Alliteration.
Very nicely done. Has to watch out there. Not the most impactful Dragon Blade, but he did clear out the soldier on the high ground, and that is in fact going to be enough. Sometimes just getting that one crucial kill where the uncontested soldier would be causing you significant amounts of problems, particularly since Clockwork now has that tac visor available. But Kresnik there, he's patrolling, looking for an opportunity to zone people off if they try and get in that position again. So all eyes on Clockwork right now. It's up to Sinatra and Kresnik to shut him down.
I mean, with 40 seconds left on the clock, if Clockwork doesn't get a lot done with this ultimate, they're gonna have a hard time pushing past point A.
And there's no nano boost here for them either, so he's the ability to deal damage quickly is even harder, but that will certainly help Defran cut down early.
Yeah, and he was about to get his ultimate as well, so that is a big deal. See what Clockwork can get now. A lot of that getting blocked by defensive Matrix, though. Not a very effective tac visor. Does pop D.Va out, but Kresnik gonna go ahead and pop the ultimate. No kills, but behind all of that, the teammates getting the kills, and FNRGFE gonna be able to push his payload.
Yeah, Buds made the swap of his own from the Widowmaker to the Genji, and they cleared out the support line. So in the very end, Selfless makes it work. Clockwork did not have the most impactful tac visor.
He drew attention at least with it, though.
Yeah, he did. He distracted the D.Va. That gave room for Buds to get those kills onto the support players of Selfless on the backside of the point.
Yeah. And now Selfless scrambling to find a defensive position here in the hangar phase. They didn't have a lot of time to set it up, and FNRGFE getting a little bit of extra pushing going because of it. Defron does have that tac visor now. Oh, but he's in the shuttle. Oh, thank goodness for him. Winston got out of there, popped the sound barrier. That was drawn out of Selfless. See if they can channel that into a defensive win. Transcendence used, though, on the side of FNRGFE to try to mitigate a little bit of that damage. Transcendence from Mykles 3D as well. Bolsonano's going off here. Selfless trying to hang tough in this defensive fight. Looks like they've got it for the moment.
Trance is basically counteracting both of the tac visors that came through. So after the sort of zero-sum game we saw there, Selfless is going to come out on top and cut their way through the payload. That was a very aggressive defense by Selfless. I didn't think they would actually go after that high ground, but they are a very aggressive team, and they really relied on their mechanics to win the day. Not gonna hit.
Did not get hit, by Enigma. That one hurts, man. He had a wide open opportunity there. Meanwhile, Dragon Blade for Sinatra picking up 3 already. So I guess with a little bit of spawn camping there from Selfless, that push is going to be stopped cold. Going to go down, but it's got time to come back. No big deal.
And when you have one of those Dragon Blades, Doa, and you see that Enigma was playing the Tracer, moving to 3 DPS, one of those Dragon Blades can clear out all 3 DPS so quickly. Enigma now switching back over to the D.Va because he knows he needs to buy time on the cart with only 40 seconds left.
Yep.
They've got to really rely on this Dragon Blade right now from Buds. He's got to be the hero.
Yeah, he's looking for that opportunity right now. The D.Va's going in after each other. Not really finding it. Sound barrier, though, for FNRGFE. Opportunity is going to come maybe pretty soon. The payload was moving, pulls it out now, gets 1. The kill's pretty even up here and there. And Bud's not getting a huge ultimate out of that. The payload is stalled out for the moment, though. Attack visor now on the side of Defron. Oh, Solo down to 17, now 0 health. But it's a brawl. I mean, it's a huge battle. Kills on both sides. Selfless barely hanging on.
I mean, Kresnik still has his self-destruct. There's no way they're getting this.
Mykles 3D getting in there. Yeah, they're pushing him off the payload now, and FNRGFE in big trouble. Nobody on the payload at the moment. No, Point gets back there just in time. They're going to chase down Clockwork, though, and that may be it. With the sound barrier, can they hold it? Transcendence trying to keep FNRGFE alive in this push here, but I just don't know, man. People are getting back to the payload. It's kind of at that midpoint between both teams, and it's going to be a longer fight. Selfless sticking in there, though. Sonny on the outside, gotta watch that positioning. There's the self-destruct now. The blue team, no kills, but at least it gets the payload moving slightly farther.
Sinatra came in at the end and popped his Dragon Blade with the enemy Transcendence at the same time. Didn't get the kills he needed.
Speaking of kills that are needed, though, FNRGFE coming up big in this particular skirmish, and that payload is actually going to get some distance. Let's see if Selfless lets it go, or if they try to go for one last-ditch effort defense. They've maybe got time to throw a couple people at it, but you know, at this point, you may just want to cut your losses and set up for point C.
Yeah, you may
see
want
if they go for it. They're going for it.
Yeah, they're going to try and contest, and that's going to be the sound barrier coming out immediately.
All right, they draw out that defensive ultimate. I mean, FNRGFE has to. They have no choice. They got to try to keep this push going. Selfless is back in force now, though. Waiting to see who takes this fight, and it's looking pretty good for the blue team. They're going to push that payload, and they are going to take point B. Minute 30 on the clock. Not a ton of time to work with. Really tough to finish Gibraltar with that, but hey, at least they got it this far. But remember, they have to get all 3 points.
And if Selfless right here, their goal coming in should have been to go for the sound barrier and draw it out and then retreat. Instead, they commit quite a lot. They end up losing the fight, which gives more ult charge on other members over to FNRGFE. And with that single ult use, we're approaching a 5 ult push here.
Here we go. It's getting big, man. It's the ult apocalypse as FNRGFE tries to keep their hopes on Gibraltar alive. Sound barrier for Selfless as they come charging back in again. They've got a Primal Raging Winston in the back. There's the self-destruct. It does catch Lucio on the Selfless side. Could be a bit of a problem. Now the self-destruct coming in for Selfless. A Selfless destruct? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, Buds picks up the kill on Emog in the end. And that Dragon Blade, what's it gonna get for Buds? Looking for some kills, not really finding much, but again, his teammates picking up the slack, and they're going to be able to capitalize on some of this. And that payload continues to move. One of the longest overtime pushes I have seen in a very long time.
Yeah, they're going to get back down to overtime again. Selfless only finished with a little less than 9 seconds on the clock. So we're going to be about even here. We could go into an extremely long second attack and defense phase.
We'll see. Another sound barrier coming in. I hear attack visor. going. No kills really coming out. Clockwork trying to build his own in the back lines, and FNRGFE still pushing. Only Kresnik to deal with. Popped out of the mech now. That payload may get a little bit more distance. We're back into overtime again. Bonnie with a kill onto Kresnik, of course.
Fadeaway kill onto Fran. They're very crucial.
Are they actually going to finish this? Selfless right there, but everybody's going down. Sinatra, the only one left. The only one standing between blue team and 3 points, and they will get it. Wow. Quite the round complete for FNRGFE. Into overtime, extended overtime on point B, and then able to use just a minute 30 on the clock to push the rest of the way. If you're on Selfless right now, you are not feeling too good about that.
I definitely would not be feeling too good about that, though. I mean, at the end there, we saw, especially in the hangar phase, there was a really good opportunity for Selfless just to go ahead and take that map before point B, relying on Kresnik, who had such a good job of holding his self-destruct, as well as blocking out the tac visor that came in from Clockwork. But at the end, you really have to credit Enigma on that final point. He did actually zone off to Fran during that tac visor into the spawn room and set up that kill for Buds, who had swapped over to that Genji and proved pretty effective. And that's not a hero we really associate with Buds in the past.
Yeah, well, it's good to see the flexibility. Obviously, you know, Bud's known as this like a great Reaper player, of course. We talked a bit about the Widowmaker, but you know, as time goes on, as a pro player, you need to be flexible. You need to learn new heroes, and he's showing us he's certainly been putting in the practice on the Genji.
That's right. So only 8 more seconds for Selfless, rather, and of course,
helpless.
Helpless.
What? They're not. They looked helpless.
Sneaking out there. They looked helpless that last defense. I will say. But Selfless.
Wow. Well, let's wait until the match is over. All right. Jeez.
They'll have a chance to redeem themselves for sure. But with only an 8-second difference, this is likely to go into an extended overtime push, and that can necessitate certain compositions like with D.Va or Mei that are very good at clearing out that payload and stopping a push cold in its tracks, where the overtime bar will just tick down to 0.
Wow, Selfless just being super aggressive with this defense again. Bud's a little bit zoned out. Looks like they're a little bit more ready for this Widowmaker this time around.
Actually picked off. That's huge right there.
I would say so. Defran sneaking around the outside, and they are all over this payload. 35 seconds left for FNRGFE on their second offensive push. They do take down Dahan. Oh, Defran, rather.
Buds, I'm really surprised he's sticking onto this Widowmaker right now.
Clockwork doing work, though, and the payload may actually start moving. There goes Sinatra, and yeah, after a bit of a stall, they are going to get some progress, but again, down to just 10 seconds left for FNRGFE.
And the problem, though, is that when you have a Widowmaker, she's not going to be able to participate with moving the payload. So basically, you have to get picks as they come in to try and contest the payload right now. Otherwise, you're not going to be very helpful for your team.
It's a high-risk, high-reward push, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're going for it. You have to try something crazy sometimes to get as far as you can, and so far, so good. They've moved the payload. Could be a little bit farther, but see what they can do now. Sinatra going down yet again. Clockwork's just had his number on 76 seemingly all round so far. Haven't stopped the payload just yet. That overtime bar is going to go down quickly. So if Clockwork can clear off the rest of Selfless, they can keep this push going, and it looks like they will. Wow, getting point A would be huge here, and they are going to do it. That's big.
Absolutely. As you say, Clockwork really and Enigma together working on those front lines. Tac visor here actually not doing a lot as they back off with the heal station into the room on the left-hand side.
But that's the point, right? They're backing off.
Yep. Not able to contest that card. And when we look at Selfless now, Kresnik about 70%. In these late phase overtimes, one self-destruct can buy you the time you need on that card.
Yeah. Because at this point, no more extra time. Goodbye, Enigma. That payload, that overtime bar is going to go down no matter what. Defran, death from above. I thought that was Farah's job. Meanwhile, the sound barrier in response. Support ultimates all over the place. So after they end, we'll see who falls. Bud's going down early on. Sound barrier for Selfless. Good job saving that one. A little bit on the longer side. Primal Rage, though, on the side of FNRGFE, just trying to keep people off the payload. That overtime bar going down, and Selfless will hold it. But man, FNRGFE getting a pretty solid push in their time bank round.
Yeah, they did. But after those ultimates got up, after we saw the self-destruct be staggered after the Primal Rage, knock everybody off the cart, when they try and come back to contest during the overtime bar, that's when the self-destruct goes off. And there's not really very many ways that you're going to come back from that. And so that does cause the game to sort of end. But the problem with those kind of compositions is sometimes, especially with self-destruct, it can take a while to build that up. So you can give a long push, but you can definitively end it when the results come up.
Very true. So now it's on Selfless to push. They again have 8 seconds more than FNRGFE did on their offensive push. See what they decide to go with so far in the spawn room for Selfless, looking pretty standard with what they've been showing us earlier. And just to watch the end of that round again, you know, like you said, the way they comboed those ultimates, you know, you just can't get back to the payload in time.
But this is just good ult economy usage. It goes trance straight into sound barrier. Kresnik was getting his self-destruct ready. He was about 75% when that fight started, and then it chained immediately into the primal rage and then to the self-destruct, trying to stay on the cart when they have that much shield, that much health regeneration, and then the disruption of self-destruct and primal rages is incredibly difficult. So Selfless played very clean to end the round.
Yeah. Let's see if they're going to show a bit more of that clean play as they begin the round now on offense. FNRGFE, all they have to do is stop them from getting to that golden glowing box on the ground just after point A, and they would win Gibraltar. Selfless trying to push it. Sinatra sneaking up on the high ground here.
When we saw the first defense, Buds did great work with the Soldier 76. And Selfless, even though Sinatra has been effective at using the Genji, seems very reluctant to start with it for some reason. I think that is a bit of a mistake.
I mean, it's a high pressure situation, right? So you're going to go with those comfort picks probably. Selfless are getting the early kills here initially. The payload is moving for the moment. And Buds took down Iman, but overall, that payload not slowed down too much, so a pretty solid start for Selfless.
Yeah, they have to fall back, make sure that they don't give any more ult charge. Over to Selfless, set up another defense here. Sinatra, very close to getting picked off on that high ground, does recall.
That would have been pretty bad if they would have lost him right now. Payload moving in. It's going to get stopped for the moment. Nobody on it. Yeah, there we go. Going to be an OT at the end, possibly. FNRGFE, they have to drop him the payload. Enigma jumps down there. Oink as well. And now we will be into OT. Sinatra does go down. It's a 5v6 at the moment as FNRGFE tries to end it right here, right now. Clockwork with a couple kills. And here comes the attack visor. Buds unopposed on the high ground. And that OT bar is going to drop fast. Nobody dealing with that Soldier 76. And FNRGFE, they are going to take Watch Point Gibraltar.
So they used the nano boost on Buds just to get him into range for the attack visor at the end. He was very patient with it, waiting until he got the Orb of Harmony back on him to actually commit to using that attack visor. But I think you really have to question Selfless. Every time FNRGFE's strategy was the same. It was get Buds on the high ground, use that nano boost to power him up, and see Zenyatta play the game.
Wow, you don't see many of these. Let's see what Bonnie can do here. Yeah, there's one. Show us more. Doe wants more kills. Right click. Oh, baby. Yeah. Bloodthirsty support. I love it. FNRGFE. Ooh, we're off to a good start today, guys.